Hello, my Italian food fanatics. It is hotter than Hades here in Orange County, California, and we're gonna go visit a friend of mine that owns Pietrini's Neapolitan Pizza in Los Alamitos, California. I'm gonna talk to him about making pizza and about how to make dough and watch him make a pizza, hopefully. I don't know what's gonna happen, but more when we get there. It's just something a little bit different. This is what happens when you have friends that are in a restaurant business. See you in a little while as we get there. All right, here we are in the corner of Winner's Circle and Katella Avenue in Los Alamitos. And there in the corner is Pietrini's Pizzeria. Now, they're not open yet. It's right next to a Starbucks, so that's why there's all those cars there. But let me tell you, when it gets busy here, it gets busy. And here we go. And here we are. Pietrini's Neapolitan Artisan Pizza Artigianale. Let's go inside and meet Landon. There's Landon.
Hey.
Good to see you.
You as well.
It's been a while. Give me a handshake
Yes,
there,
sir.
my good man. So, nobody can help but come into this restaurant without noticing the centerpiece behind you.
That's right.
The Forza Forni oven that's also used by Anthony Mangieri of Una Pizza Napoletana in New York, which was just rated by the Italians, believe it or not, to be the #1 pizzeria in America. I think that pretty soon they're going to be coming here to rate you #1.
Let's see. That's all right.
I was telling the other Italian food fanatics on the way over here that you're the first person that would say that you, even after thousands of pizzas, that you're learning constantly every
100%.
day how to make.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You always need to be a student. You can never learn too much. You can never arrive and say I've arrived. I've learned it all. No, just stay humble. Just be a student. Keep learning. Try and every pizza is an opportunity to do a better job. So.
Right. And for a young man like yourself, I mean, you've been in the game for quite some time now, and still learning constantly, kind of like Anthony Mangieri, who's always pushing the envelope and saying, you know, I'm also constantly learning just a little bit every single day.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the restaurant. How did Pietrini's Neapolitan Pizzeria Artisan Pizza come to be?
So this was a longtime dream of my father's, Gene Pietrini. Maybe for the last 30 years he's wanted to open a pizzeria. He originally is from Chicago boy, moved here when he was in his 20s, met my mom, ended up sticking around, but he grew up on a cracker thin style pizza, which is Chicago's obviously known for a deep dish, but a more common style that's probably a little more prevalent in the suburbs is cracker thin tavern style pizza, really thin, square cut. But that's what we grew up on. And then maybe 20 years ago, he was introduced to traditional Neapolitan wood-fired pizza and never looked back. He fell in love with it. So he changed his aspirations. His pizza dreams kind of evolved from cracker thin. We might bring it in the menu to pay some homage to him in Chicago at some point. But the focal point of this restaurant here is traditional wood-fired pizza.
Neapolitan style, yes, and you do it quite well.
Thank you.
In fact,
Thank you.
I've been, you know me, I've been around the world.
Yeah, no, it was the pressure was on when you told me. I was like, okay, all right.
I've been at the best of the best of the best, and let me tell you, I was very impressed when I came here. Out of everyone in Orange County that I've been to, and I'll go down to San Diego. There's a great one down in San Diego, but nobody compares to you in this area. You are just phenomenal. So, how did you learn? You know, you don't just get an oven like this and begin making Neapolitan pizza. How did you learn how to do it?
My dad, he got a book called, not to do a little plug here, but The Pizza Bible by Tony Gimignani.
Sure.
It was, in its day, it was one of the more popular pizza books that you can get your hands on. Tony has a school out of his restaurant in North Beach called the International School of Pizza. My dad wanted to go and train under him, but once this restaurant started taking more shape, I let him know I was on board. Hey, if this is a family endeavor, I'm all in, let's go. So he was super excited that I wanted to be a part of this. So instead of him going, he sent me. So that was 6 years ago. That was my crash course to pizza making.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Tony is no stranger to the game either. He went over to Italy and beat the Italians at their own game of making Neapolitan pizza. In fact, they had to escort that man out and his team under guard because they were afraid for his safety, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So you learn from, the champion of the world. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
right?
and his right-hand girl, Lauren Meyer, I was more so under her tutelage for the week. So, again, she's another world champion pizza maker. So he's got quite the team.
Right. She just went over there to compete again as well. Yeah. No joke. So you learn from literally the very best that there is. So what kind of flour do you like to use in your pizza?
00. So it's the most refined. It's imported from Naples. It's Caputo. It's the mill of Naples.
So you use the Caputo, the blue pizzeria flour.
Correct. Correct.
And now, do you do anything special with the water?
No. I've been told that Los Alamitos, the water quality is not that good. It's high in minerals, high in chlorine and stuff like that. So or calcium. I don't know much about the water, but I've heard it's too hard. So we do have reverse osmosis here. So we do filter our water out to make sure that the water quality is good for the pizza dough.
Very interesting. And now, do you use a poolish or a pre-ferment of some sort?
Correct. I use a biga.
You use a biga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poolish, generally 100% hydration, 1-to-1, 1 part flour, 1 part water. Biga is usually from 50% hydration to 70 or 60. I use it 65% hydrated Biga.
Okay.
So,
and what does the dough end up at, a hydration percentage?
It was a nightmare trying to figure out the math, so I did myself a favor, simplified everything. My original recipe is 65% hydration, which is kind of high for a Neapolitan, but I really like the results, so I stuck with that. So because my dough recipe is 65%, I made my Biga 65%, so I know exactly that my dough is 65% hydration.
Right, so much easier that way, isn't it? Instead of trying to do baker's percentage and figure it out and subtracting out water and stuff like that for the final. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting and smart. Yeah. Smart on your part. So now, obviously, the cornerstone of any Neapolitan pizzeria is going to be one or two different pizzas: the margherita and the marinara. Right? Kind of like Da Michele in Naples. Those are the only two pizzas they serve, and they are the quintessential pizzas that every place is theoretically measured by. Starita, for example, is said to have the best marinara in Italy, right? However, that's not true according to the people at Modernist Pizza who went to Japan and said the marinaras in Japan are actually better than the ones in Italy, believe it or not. So I already know the answer to this question, but I want you to tell our other Italian food fanatics, if somebody were to come in and judge you by your pizza, which one would you make for them?
The margherita.
The margherita?
It's just you can get an idea of what a pizzeria is doing. You can measure it by a margherita pizza. The bake, the cheese, the melt, the sauce, the salt content. That's a really good gauge of what's going on, what somebody's about by the way they present their margherita pizza.
So if you went into a restaurant and they said they serve Neapolitan pizza, you'd order the margarita and you'd make your decision from there.
Correct.
Now, what do you look at when a pizza comes to the table? What are the first things that you notice and judge the pizza on?
The cornicione, so just the crust. You can get an idea of their kind of philosophy and how they bake, or sometimes if it's busy, you can see if it's rushed, or if they're taking care with it, if it's rotated enough. So to see how the crust is baked, see how the ingredients melted on top, and then when you eat the pizza, you always look at the undercarriage to see how the bake is on the bottom. If it's burnt, if it's undercooked, or if it's just right. So you should see some black char, some speckling, but you don't want all that black connecting to where it's actually burnt.
Right. You want leoparding, but you don't want it
Yeah.
connected, like you said, right? You want little specks of it. Understood. And what about the softness? Should it have a little crunch? Should it be soft?
It should. Traditional Neapolitan pizza should be soft. I know guys, if they squish down on the crust and if it makes a crack sound, they go, oh, that's not traditional. But I mean, we're in the States here. People are familiar with crunch. I'm partial to a nice crisp, but not too much crunch, but to where it has a nice crisp outer layer, but is still soft and chewy on the inside.
Right, and believe it or not, in other parts of Italy, that's exactly the way they do it as well. The Italians outside of Naples also break from that tradition, and have it a little bit more crunchy. And as you said, of course, just like our New York pizzas that we make and your cracker thin crust and all of that, Americans do like crunchy. There's no doubt about it. I love it as well. You know, so fantastic. Can we perhaps see you make a pizza?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to come around this
Please.
way, and we'll spy on you. And here we go. There's the dough sleeping away. Look at that. How sweet it is. Perfect. All right, here we go. Landon's getting a piece of dough out of the tray. Got the bench flour out.
A little birdie bath with flour here. Beautiful. Very delicate flour right now.
That is beautiful, beautiful dough, isn't it? Today's dough.
So what I'm doing right now is pressing out the gases to the crust.
Uh-huh.
Not pressing down, I'm kind of pressing outwards to make sure all the gases are dispersed to the crust here. And next, there's several different ways you can stretch a dough ball. Some guys will put it on their knuckles and stretch it out this way.
Uh-huh.
Some people, I just heard somebody call it this the other day, the DJ method. They'll like it's a record, but they'll fan it out. They'll anchor on the inside of the crust right here and fan it out. And then there's also the traditional Neapolitan slap. So I like to do that way because...
You like to do the Neapolitan slap.
Correct.
Now, why is that?
I do that because there's two reasons. I feel like it more evenly distributes the gases to the crust, to the rim here. And it also maintains the integrity of the center, the middle really well.
Okay.
Why
is that important?
You don't want it to be too thin. Because when it's too thin, it'll bake really weird. Sometimes it'll blow up. Air will get trapped under here, and it'll start to blow up in the oven. Or sometimes the moisture from all of the ingredients that you place on top will get it too soggy, and it'll pop a hole right in the oven while you're cooking. It'll break a hole right in the middle, which is just a mess to clean up.
Right, and you can't have that in a commercial kitchen.
No, sir. And then also, when you slap it, it also gets rid of excess flour. Because you always want to do your best to get rid of all the excess flour to prevent from any sort of unnecessary charring underneath. Flour can cake up and it burns. It doesn't taste real good. It
tastes bitter, right?
Bitter.
Yeah.
So first, we're just going to add a spoonful of sauce here.
So there is no measuring theoretically for you. It's not like, oh, we put a quarter cup on there because you're a professional.
Correct.
You're used to it.
And a nice little pinch
Parmesan.
Of Parmesan. Some basil. Love
You have
basil.
a special thing that you do with the basil, right?
Correct. So I always put the basil underneath the cheese. It helps prevent the basil from burning. It'll just blacken. It'll crisp up if you put it on top. Some people just avoid that altogether by putting basil on post bake,
right?
Which I do like the taste with the basil cooking, but I do put it under the cheese.
So we have the best of both worlds. We have you like it cooked, but you also like to keep the integrity of the basil after the bake as well.
Correct.
Very good.
So we're going to pinch to serve here.
So this is a fior di latte,
Fior di latte.
fresh mozzarella, which is the quintessential cheese used in Neapolitan pizza.
All right, that looks good.
Now, how large is this pizza?
This pizza is, right now it's about 10 inches. But when we serve it, it's going to be 12 inches.
Okay.
So I stretch it to about 10 inches, and then I have a peel that's about 12 to 13 inches. I have some extra virgin olive oil, just do a nice little kiss on the end, too.
Absolutely beautiful.
Make sure I got enough heat in here.
You're gonna add some wood to the fire, huh?
Get some flour.
Put some flour on the peel, right?
I always slide the peel underneath the pie to make sure that it's not sticking to the table. But then I always drag the pizza onto the peel because it catches any excess flour that's hanging out on the bottom of the pie. And then I'm gonna stretch the pie out. This is like my ruler here. It's about.
That's an interesting thing for me, believe it or not. When you said that you use the peel as a ruler, right? Because I always thought, okay, I'm gonna buy the square peels, but you have a round peel, and this is what helps, right?
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. And then now into the oven. And look at that, at about 900 degrees. And this pizza is going to cook in about 90 seconds, a minute and a half. Look at that, how beautiful that is. You can already see that the pizza is beginning to get little leopard spotting there, which is
That's my first sign that I need to make my first rotation. I start seeing some leoparding. I go, okay, it's talking to me. It's telling me to.
This is one of the most difficult things to cook because of so many different variables. The oven temperature, the fire, the dough hydration, the humidity in the ambient humidity on the dough. There's so many different variables, and we're only cooking one pizza here. During service, it becomes even more challenging. And look how quickly this pizza has been baked. Absolutely fantastic. Wow. That is a gorgeous margarita. So do you do anything to finish this?
Yes, sir. First, I'm going to cut the pizza into 6 slices, which is something we do in the States. I know in Italy they'll eat it with a fork and knife, and then I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan. Nice little.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And this is my secret weapon right here, Malden's flaked sea salt. Do that for a little.
Wow.
And I like that because I recently removed about half the salt content out of my sauce because I was noticing my salt. I didn't want my sauce to be just like a salty sauce. I'd rather have a sweet tomato sauce, and that contrasted with a nice salt pop and that I add post bake. And I really like the results. So
look at that. That's perfect.
this is
Beautiful cheese, perfectly melted. Man, now that is a thing of beauty. It's one of my favorite things in the world. You know that.
oh yeah.
I love it. So let's see how delicious this is going to be.
Cheers.
Cheers to your health. That's perfect. Soft. Your idea of putting the basil down first, as I get a taste of the basil, you have that wonderful basil flavor, that herbaceousness from it. The bottom, the undercarriage is perfect. It's got the leopard spotting there. And the top, how sweet it is.
Going in for seconds.
Oh man, this is a pizzaiolo going in for a second.
Sure.
This is a man that is around pizza every day. Wow, man, I'm so lucky. that I love what I do, and I have friends like you.
Cheers.
Oh, pleasure.
Simple and fresh.
The best. If you're ever in Southern California, in Orange County, in Los Alamitos, you have to come here. Pietrini's Neapolitan Pizza. This is Landon. He'll be the one actually making your pizza.
That's right.
Anyway, thank you very much for following our channel. I think it's a symbiotic relationship. We're a community. Please hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I release another video. Share with your friends. Sharing is caring. And leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of our day with Landon at Pietrini's. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day. I wish you good health, happiness, and prosperity. And I'll see you and Landon in our next video. Thanks very much for your time today. I really appreciate it, okay?
I appreciate it.
It's not easy to come into a commercial operation. This is a real serious restaurant and do this. And we really thank him for his time and patience with me. That's for sure. Thank you very much, Landon.
My pleasure.